Why do rich and wealthy men take the time to wash their own plates just to enjoy Fatima's food? What makes the madman laugh and call those eating Fatima's food crazy? Why does he claim that Fatima's customers are eating snakes? What hidden truth does he see that others are blind to? Sit back, relax and get ready for an incredible journey into the story of Fatima, the irresistible food seller. Let's uncover the secrets behind his tale. In the bustling marketplace of Enugu, there stood a humble food vendor named Fatima. Her little eatery, known as Momo's Delight, was always surrounded by eager customers, from dawn till dusk. People from neighboring towns flocked to the market just to savor her meals. It wasn't just the poor who dined there. Wealthy business tycoons in luxury cars humbly joined the queue, washing their plates themselves to partake in her meals. Fatima's food was legendary. Customers claimed her jollof rice was unmatched, her egusi soup addictive, and her fried plantains divine. Fights often broke out as customers argued over who would be served first. But no one seemed to mind the chaos. The allure of Fatima's food was worth it. One sweltering afternoon, as the crowd jostled for a plate of her irresistible meals, a madman strode by, laughing uproariously. He pointed at the diners and bellowed, "You're eating live snakes. All of you." His raspy voice pierced the noise of the market, momentarily silencing the chaos. The crowd stared at the madman, their curiosity piqued. Then, just as quickly, they dismissed him with a laugh. "Don't mind him, he's crazy," muttered a man balancing his plate. "Snakes in Fatima's food. What nonsense," said another, shaking his head as he scooped a mouthful of rice. The madman, undeterred, continued his chant. "Snakes! Snakes! You're all eating snakes." He danced away, leaving the diners to chuckle at his antics. No one took his words seriously. After all, he was just a madman. Nearby, another food vendor named Tola watched the scene unfold with a mixture of frustration and envy. Tola had once been the queen of the marketplace, known for her sumptuous stews and grilled meats. But Fatima's rice had eclipsed her. Now, her shop was a shadow of its former self, with barely a customer in sight. Tola wiped the sweat from her brow as she watched the never-ending stream of people flocking to Fatima's store. What does she do differently? Tola muttered to herself. We use the same ingredients. I even lowered my prices. Why does she have all the customers? The madman's words echoed in her mind. Snakes, could it be true, she wondered. The thought seemed absurd, but the way people behaved around Fatima's food was puzzling. Even the rich, who had no business eating at roadside stalls, seemed entranced. Determined to uncover the truth, Tola decided she could no longer sit idle. She had to find out what made Fatima's food so irresistible. The unease gnawed at her until she resolved to seek help from someone who could see beyond the ordinary. Late that night, Tola wrapped herself in a shawl and made her way to the outskirts of the city. She had heard of an old woman named Mama Ife, a seer who was reputed to uncover hidden truths. Though skeptical of such things, Tola was desperate. Mama Ife's small hut sat at the edge of a dense forest. A faint glow emanated from within, and the air smelled of burning herbs. Tola hesitated for a moment before knocking softly. The door creaked open, revealing Mama Ife, a frail woman with piercing eyes that seemed to look straight through her. You've come to seek the truth about Fatima, Mama Ife said, her voice low and steady. Tola's mouth fell open. How did you know? The seer smiled faintly and gestured for her to come in. Sit, she commanded. Tola explained her concerns, the strange behavior of Fatima's customers, the madman's claims, and her own dwindling business. Mama Ife listened silently, her face unreadable. When Tola finished, the old woman spoke. You are right to be suspicious. Fatima's success is not natural, she said, her words heavy with meaning. Tola felt a chill run down her spine. "What do you mean?" she whispered. "There is something dark tied to her food." "Something unnatural," Mama Ife said, her gaze sharp. "But if you wish to uncover the truth, it will not be easy." Tola nodded. "I'm ready. Tell me what to do." Mama Ife reached into a wooden chest and pulled out a small pouch. "Take this powder," she said, handing it to Tola. "Go to Fatima's store when no one is watching. Sprinkle it near her cooking pot. The truth will reveal itself, but be prepared. What you find may change everything." Tola's hands trembled as she accepted the pouch. "Will I be safe?" she asked. The seer's eyes narrowed. "As long as you follow my instructions, you will see the truth without harm. But be warned, this truth may be more than you can bear." Tola left the hut, clutching the pouch tightly. Her heart was heavy with fear but also determination. The next day, she would face Fatima and uncover the secret behind her food. The next morning, Tola arrived at the marketplace early. The bustling sounds of traders setting up their stalls filled the air, but her mind was focused on one thing: Fatima's store. She carried the pouch Mama Ife had given her, hidden securely in her bag. By midday, the market was alive with its usual chaos, and as expected, Fatima's store was at the center of it. Customers jostled and shouted, their faces filled with anticipation for her meals. Rich men in designer clothes stood shoulder to shoulder with market women, all waiting to be served. Tola stood at a distance, her heart pounding as she clutched the pouch in her hand. She waited for the perfect moment, watching as Fatima served plate after plate with her trademark smile. Finally, when no one seemed to be looking her way, Tola approached the store. "Good morning, Fatima," she said, forcing a smile. Fatima looked up, her face brightening. "Oh, Tola. It's been a while. Come to taste my food today." Tola shook her head, pretending to browse through the items at a nearby store. "Not today, but maybe soon," she replied casually. Fatima nodded, turning back to her work. Seeing her chance, Tola reached into her bag and pulled out the pouch. Her hands shook as she sprinkled the powder near the base of Fatima's large cooking pot, just as Mama Ife had instructed. The powder blended with the dirt on the ground, invisible to anyone passing by. She stepped back quickly, her heart racing. Nothing seemed to happen at first. The customers continued eating, laughing, and chatting as if everything were normal. Tola felt a wave of doubt. Maybe Mama Ife had been wrong. Maybe there was nothing strange about Fatima's food after all. But just as she was about to turn away, the large cooking pot began to tremble slightly. Tola froze, her eyes fixed on the pot. The tremors grew more violent, and a low, rumbling sound filled the air. The chatter around the store ceased as the customers turned to look. Suddenly, the lid of the pot flew off with a loud clang. A massive snake reared its head, its scales glistening like polished onyx. Its eyes glowed an unnatural red, and its forked tongue flicked menacingly. Screams erupted as people dropped their plates and fled in every direction. The once bustling store was now a scene of chaos. Fatima stood frozen, her eyes wide with terror. "No! This can't be," she cried, trying to push the pot's lid back over the snake. But the creature hissed loudly, sending her stumbling backward. Tola watched in horror, unable to move. The madman's words echoed in her mind, "You're all eating live snakes." She now understood the truth. This was no ordinary food. It was tied to something dark and unnatural. The market was in complete disarray. Vendors abandoned their stalls, and customers ran for their lives. Only a few brave souls remained, watching the spectacle from a distance. Tola was among them, her feet rooted to the ground as she stared at the monstrous snake. The creature slithered out of the pot, its massive body coiling on the ground. It hissed again, its glowing eyes scanning the crowd as if searching for something. Fatima, now trembling, fell to her knees. Her once confident smile was gone, replaced by sheer terror. "Fatima!" Tola called out, finding her voice. "What is this? What have you done?" Fatima turned to her, her face pale and streaked with tears. "I didn't mean for this to happen," she sobbed. "What are you talking about?" Tola demanded, stepping closer despite her fear. Fatima's voice trembled as she spoke. "Years ago, when I started this stall, I was struggling. No one came to buy my food. I was desperate, so I went to a herbalist. He gave me a charm. He said it would bring customers and make my food irresistible. But I didn't know. I didn't know it would be tied to this." Tola's stomach turned as she listened. The charm had worked, but at what cost? The snake, she realized, was the source of Fatima's success. It had been hiding in plain sight, feeding off the ignorance of her customers. "We need to do something," Tola said, her voice firm. Fatima shook her head. "There's nothing we can do. The charm is bound to me. If the snake is exposed, it will destroy me." Tola felt a surge of anger. "So you were willing to sacrifice others for your success? Do you even realize the harm you've caused?" Before Fatima could respond, the snake hissed loudly, silencing everyone. It reared its head again, looking directly at Fatima. For a moment, it seemed as though the creature would strike. Tola's mind raced. She couldn't let this go on. She had to stop the snake, even if it meant confronting the darkness head-on. "Fatima," she said urgently, "you need to end this. Tell me how to stop it." Fatima hesitated, tears streaming down her face. "There's only one way," she whispered. "You have to destroy the pot. But if you do, the snake will turn on me. It will kill me." Tola hesitated. Could she really be responsible for Fatima's death? But as she looked around at the terrified faces of the market crowd, she knew there was no other choice. "I can't let this continue, Fatima," Tola said, her voice steady despite her fear. Ignoring the fear coursing through her veins, Tola grabbed a nearby stick. She glanced at the pot, still simmering despite the chaos. The snake's link to the pot was undeniable, and she knew what had to be done. She swung the stick with all her might, smashing the side of the pot. A loud, shattering sound echoed through the market as pieces of clay flew in all directions. The snake let out an ear-splitting hiss, writhing violently as black smoke billowed from the broken pot. Fatima collapsed to the ground, clutching her chest as if the snake's agony were her own. "Stop! You're killing me," she cried, her voice weak. Tola hesitated for a brief moment, guilt flickering in her mind. But the sight of the snake, thrashing and contorting as the dark smoke enveloped it, reminded her of what was at stake. She raised the stick again and brought it down on the remaining fragments of the pot, shattering them completely. The snake let out one final, deafening hiss before its massive body began to disintegrate into the black smoke. The air was thick with the acrid smell of burning, and the ground beneath the stall seemed to tremble as the creature vanished into nothingness. The market was eerily silent. The once bustling crowd stood frozen, their eyes wide with a mixture of relief and disbelief. The snake was gone, and the dark presence that had loomed over Fatima's stall had disappeared. But the damage was done. Fatima lay on the ground, her breath shallow and ragged. Her once bright eyes were now dull, her face pale. Tola knelt beside her, unsure of what to say. You've destroyed me," Fatima whispered, her voice barely audible. "But maybe I deserved it." Tola frowned, a mix of pity and anger swirling within her. "You made a choice, Fatima. You let desperation lead you down a dark path. But people deserve honesty, not deceit." Fatima managed a weak smile. "I wanted success, but I didn't know the cost. Now, I've paid the price." As the crowd slowly began to disperse, murmurs of the day's events filled the air. The once thriving store was now abandoned, its shattered pots and discarded plates serving as a stark reminder of the dark secret that had been revealed. Days later, the market returned to its usual rhythm, though the events at Fatima's store left an indelible mark. Customers were wary of eating at food vendors, and trust in the marketplace had been shaken. Tola, however, found her own store slowly coming back to life. Her customers returned, drawn by her honesty and the knowledge that her food was made with nothing but care and integrity. Though business was steady, she couldn't forget the lesson she had learned. As she served her customers one evening, an old man approached her. "You did the right thing, Tola," he said, his voice kind. "You could have ignored it, but you chose to stand up for the truth. Not everyone would have been so brave." Tola nodded, a faint smile on her lips. It wasn't easy. But sometimes, the truth is the only way forward. As a moral lesson, it is important to remember that desperation can lead people to make choices that have dire consequences. However, no success built on lies and deceit can last forever. True prosperity comes from honesty, integrity, and hard work. And when faced with a choice between turning a blind eye and doing what is right, the courage to uncover the truth can pave the way for a better future. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us again on African Tales by Erica. Your support means the world to us. Please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more captivating stories. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.